Hi, it's starting out with Wave Over Recipes, and this is my review of the Ninja Foodi Smart XL Pro Grill and Griddle. So I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the box now. So now that everything is unboxed, let me show you what comes with it. You get some paperwork, a warning, manual. You get a quick start guide that has 15 recipes with pictures for those recipes in there. Also, it's got like little charts that show you the amount of time to cook different other types of foods and things. So it's really more than 15 if you consider all the chart information that you get that gives you tips on how long to cook a lot of different things. There's the one thing that is new in this grill is this griddle plate, and I'll show how that goes in later. It has air fry basket, like other models had air fry basket, and it's got a new type of a grill plate, and I'll be showing how that goes inside of the unit here in a moment. And up inside of the unit you see a splatter shield up there at the top. And I'll show you around the cooker. You can see on the side there where you got just a little bit of air vent. On this side you have a release button. This red release button is for releasing the grill plate. I'll be showing how that's used in a bit. And then you can kind of see how things look around the back of the cooker. So that just gives you a look around things. Now I do want to mention that this cooker can get up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. A older model got up to 510. This is just 10 degrees less, but 500 is still good. The wattage is 1760 watts, so just under 1800 watts, which is also pretty good. The dimensions are 15.7 inches in length, 17.4 inches in width, and 11.63 inches in height. And it weighs 27.5 pounds. So now giving you a closer up view of the cooker, you can see the display and all that good stuff. We'll be plugging it in a moment so you can see how things all light up and all that. But for now we're going to open up and I'm going to show you how to put the new grill plate in. You want the grill plate facing so that the grease reservoir is in the front. And you just kind of, it's got like this little buttony thing there, but just kind of set it in on that, and it just kind of locks in when you just kind of pop it in like that. Hold on. There you go. Have to press it in there, and it locks in. So now it's locked in there. And then, if you wanted to get it out, that button on the side, you press that red button, it pops up, and you can get it out. But I'm just going to put it on back in and lock it on in there. Now if you're going to air fry, you would take your air fry basket and set it in there, and you do your air fry and you close up, do your air fry. If you're just going to do regular grilling, you would just use this plate here just for regular grilling. If you're going to do griddle work, then you take this griddle plate and you just kind of, it's got like grooves, and you just kind of set it in between the grooves of the other plate. Let's see, maybe I've got it backwards. Yeah, I did. I had it backwards. So, like that, now you've got your griddle, and you can do your griddle work. Alright, so I have my older model Ninja Foodi Smart XL grill here, and this is the newer Smart Model XL grill that has the griddle addition to it. I did forget to mention, as far as accessories, over here on the side, there is a thermometer, meat jack thermometer. Here it is. And we'll go into this in more details later. I'll go into further detail with that. But this older model has the same smart thermometer on the side of it. But I just wanted to give you a side by side and do a little bit of measuring of the two so that you know the difference in measurements. So if we just go across the front, we've got about 15 inches on the older model here. On this newer one, we've got, it's really under 15. It's about 14 3/4. It's a little a little shorter. Now if we go front to back, and I'm trying to include the hump in this out to the handle, we've got under 15 inches, I'd say, about 14 and a half. And for this one we've got, whoops, got about 14, just under 14 and a half. It's a little shorter here too. And so let's see, we can do height also, from top to bottom. So it looks like, as far as height, we're looking at about 10 and a half inches, I'd say, on that one. And for this one on height, this is just a kind of a rough look at it. I'd say it's about, yeah, it's about 11 inches from my vantage point. About 11 inches in height there, up to the top of it. Now I'm going to show you the air fry baskets for these two. This is the one for the older, this is the one for the newer. And the older is a little smaller than the newer one. You can almost fit it inside of the newer one. It's a little smaller. And when we open up, I'm going to show you the grill plate in this one comes out because there's kind of like a roasting pan that always stays inside of this one, whereas with this one, the newer one, this grill plate always stays inside. There is no roasting type pan underneath. You use this grill plate even if you're doing a bake. You just do it on this grill plate. And so as far as size, it's about even in size. So they're about the same size. Just the main difference to be aware of is that you kind of have like a flat roasting pan in this one, whereas you don't with that one there. So like I said, if you're baking, you're going to be baking on a grill plate basically. And also, if you notice, the fan cover on this one is much larger than the fan over there. I'm gonna even take this fan cover off of this, see if I can get it out. And you can just see, you know, that big heating coil up there. And you see how much bigger it is than that one? I mean, it's much larger. So you got a bigger heating coil in this one than you do in that one. Both of them have the same wattage though. So this one, you know, has a smaller heating element on top, but of course this one's going to get hot on the bottom just like this one will as well. Now something to keep in mind when we're talking about grill plate space, this one doesn't have the drainage in the front, whereas this one has drainage in the front, so you can't put food, you know, kind of in your drain. So if you measure the area for cooking that's available in the older model, and I'm just going up to this little hump that it has, you have 9 inches. You could probably go, if you're not on that hump, you know, you got about 9 inches still. Now if I check the newer model here, if we don't include the drip pan area, I've only got 8 inches. So basically I lose an inch because there's like a 1-inch drain area here in the grill plate. So I've lost an inch with the newer model from that drainage. Now if I go side to side, let's see, if I just go side to side here, I've got 13 and a half inches side to side, and this one side to side, yeah, it's just under 13 and a half, just barely under 13 and a half. But the bottom line is you got a little more cooking space. I mean, you got a full inch on the front part here, but you've got a little more cooking space in this one grilling than you do with this one here. So now I'm going to do an initial plug-in of the grill here. And now I'm going to hit the power button to power things up, and so we see how things look when I first started up. And just kind of go over the display a little bit so that you understand the user interface. You know, there's the power button. Here's a preheat button. Basically, while the preheat's running, you can press this button to skip preheat. They basically tell you you shouldn't, but if you need to, it's there if you want to skip preheat. And you have your different options that you can choose from. You can press the function button to get to your functions if it's not already on function, but you have your different options that you can choose from. And so I'm just going to kind of spin through those because we have like grill, we have roast, we have broil, we have bake, you have dehydrate. You use the air fry or the crisper basket while you're dehydrating. And so I'm just going to see if I hit temp, then I can adjust my temp. See how low temp can go. And so spin it all the way down to 80 degrees. So basically we can do between 80 degrees up to, on the grill, real hot 500 degrees. And also you can do your time here, so you can adjust your time. Let's see how much time we can put on it for a dehydrate. So the most we can put on is 12 hours. So 80 degrees is the lowest temp, up to 12 hours on dehydrate. The maximum temp for a dehydrate, we'll see what that is now. Alright, the maximum temp for dehydrate is 195, just so you keep that in mind. If I go back to the function button, I can do a, well, hold on, function, here we go. So after dehydrate, there's air crisp. So that's like air fry, air crisp. And then there's barbecue griddle, and that's where you put that griddle plate in, and you could do your griddle work. And for the other buttons here, we've got manual and preset and done this. Those are for your meat probe. So I'm going to take the meat probe out, and I'm just going to do a little demo work with the meat probe here. Now there's a jack on the side for the meat probe, so just basically popping that in there on the meat probe jack, and then I got my probe here. Now let's say I put things over on grill, and let's say I'm grilling, and I click preset. I can select different foods for the presets. I can do like chicken, I can do pork, you know, beef, fish, you know, a few different protein options there. And also for the doneness, like if I click on time, I can click on a different doneness like well, medium rare, let's see. We've got rare, I mean, and it depends also on the food that you're doing. So let's say I switch to temp. I can do max, low, high. So I can do different levels of heat. And so go back to doneness again. Let's see if I go to, let's see. Actually I have to preset. Yeah, and so I go to beef. And so if I go to doneness for beef, well, it's showing me 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and so then it goes up 5, 6. So it goes up all the levels of doneness. So it's got like well, medium, medium, well, all of that is in there. So you can do different levels of doneness in different foods. You can also switch over to manual. And then when you hit manual, you've got like your temperature that you can set, your target meat temperature. You can switch that up or down. You can basically with that just cook to temp. If you're using like one of the presets, I will mention that it might stop a little early because it's anticipating that you will let the food set out for carryover. And so after it cooks, you know, you let it sit out for a little while to do carryover to get the temp if it stops early. But it, you know, it kind of, depending on what you're cooking, it may stop it earlier than you might anticipate, just, you know, counting on you doing the carryover. That's just something to keep in mind. And if you just want to check the temperature of meat on the fly, you could have your meat jack in and you hold the manual button and just hold it in, and then it shows you your current temp so that you could check your current temp, you know, just on the fly whenever you want. Now I do want to mention, when you open the cooker, if it was running, it would automatically pause, and when it closed, it would start cooking again. It's got the smart auto pause door on it. And if you're using oil, they do mention that you want to use an oil with a high smoke point. You know, you don't want to use like olive oil or virgin olive oil or something that's going to smoke really high. Something like an extra light olive oil sometimes, you know, if you're not cooking too hot, you know, isn't going to cause smoke. But once you start getting over like 400, 450, you got to be really careful. You know, you know, might want to just keep the oil use below 400 unless you're very confident of the oil that you're using. Now I've got my iGrill 2 temperature ambient probe in there in the air fry basket because that's the only thing I can basically hold it on. But I've got things set to grill, and I've got the grill set to max. And I'm going to close on up, and I'm going to adjust the time up. So let's push the time out to like 30 minutes. So got it on max, 30 minutes. Going to just do a temperature test just to see what the ambient probe says when the grill is totally maxed out. Basically this button here is to start and stop cooks and things, so we just hit that and it goes into the preheat, and we'll let it go ahead and preheat, let it heat up. We'll just see how things look later. Alright, so it's telling me to add food, and the ambient probe's only reading 428 degrees, 430 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm just opening as if I'm adding food. Gonna let it keep on running, and we'll just see where things, end up. Now, of course, the cord, is coming through the door, but even if we were using their cord, it would have to come through the door too. So, similar circumstance. And I don't think it really, impedes the closing of the door much at all. But I'm going to let it run for a little while longer and see what happens. Alright, so I let things go through the cooking phase for 10 minutes. It's been rotting on 481, so I'm pretty confident in saying, I'm just going to stop it, but I'm pretty confident in saying that things, the grill plate's a little lower than the ambient probe setting a little higher. I think, with it showing a steady 481, the grill plate probably is 500, it's a little lower. And that hot still probably is 500. It's about roughly 500. So it does get, up to around, the temp that you want it to get to. And it does maintain that temp steady once it's, once it gets there. Once it got up to that like 481, it did kind of hold it steady. It wasn't really there at the end of the preheat, but it did get there and, kind of just rode steady there. So that's pretty cool. So now I've got the griddle plate in. I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to turn over to the barbecue griddle setting, and I'm going to lower the temp down to, I'll lower it down to 300, which is the lowest that it can go. I don't want to overcook my eggs. And for time, we won't even need 10 minutes for eggs, but I'll just lower it to an even 10, but I'm just going to keep the hood open while they're cooking to keep an eye on things. But you do, in order to preheat it, you close it up and just going to hit start, and it preheats. Once the preheat is done, then I've got myself a couple of large eggs here, and I'll put the eggs on in once things are heated up. Alright, so we got the add food. So opening up and pouring my eggs in. Oh, actually things do stay kind of level. Okay, I thought it wouldn't be level. That's cool. So actually I meant to leave it open. I'm cooking eggs. But gonna let them kind of, heat up there. I guess I want them kind of sunny side up, so I'm just gonna close it for a moment. It seems like when you close it, that fan works on it a little bit. But just going to let those eggs cook up. I'm surprised that it is as level as it is. I was concerned because things are slanted with the grill plate being in there. But I guess I don't want that fan hitting the top of my egg too hard. So it looks like the white part is already pretty well cooked. The yolk is pretty uncooked at this point. But I don't want to overcook things, so I do want to get the whole egg kind of cooked at a nice, I'm going to see if I can get sunny side up. I could scramble them, But it looks like the grill plate does work, it does do its job. So that's pretty interesting. Now when you're cooking something with the griddle, you are supposed to keep it open unless the recipe calls for closing it with the griddle, but I want to try and get the top of the eggs cooked a little. Every time I close, the fan starts blowing hot air down. If I open it up, then it doesn't blow the hot air and it just runs the griddle. So it's pretty interesting. But I'm thinking, you know, since I can't really get the top of my egg as well cooked as I really want to get it, I'm probably just going to have to kind of go, you know, flip this egg over. So try and get under. It's really non-stick. I didn't put any oil down. So I'm just going to, you know, with that flip, let the other side cook. And I guess I could turn the temp up a little bit on here. Let's see. Up at the 350. So we'll let things go ahead and I just hit start with that. So let it go ahead and cook at 350 like that. So we've been cooking for about 4.5 minutes. I don't want to overcook things. I mean, I flipped this egg, but the yolk inside of this one, I guess it's about cooked enough. You know, I wanted to try and make sure that the yolks weren't too undercooked. I guess it'll be okay as far as, you know, being cooked well enough. So here's a fully cooked egg. You know, I did leave the yolk, you know, a little runny there. And I guess it gives me an indicator to flip. So let me turn the cooker off to stop it. But we can basically disturb that yolk to see that I've cooked my egg. Yeah, that turned out pretty nice. I mean, since you can't put the, you know, you don't want to put the hood down too long, you can cook it on both sides, you know, by just flipping your egg. So pretty cool. I'm just going to taste this real quick. It's a nicely cooked egg, so the griddle does work. Now I've got myself 5 frozen hot wings there, and I've got the crisper basket in. I'm going to close up, turn the cooker on, going to go over to the air crisp setting, and going to set the temp up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll leave the cook time at 20 minutes, and going to hit start with that, and let things go ahead and preheat, then I'll get the wings on in. Alright, so time to add food. And just gonna drop them on in there. Just give them some space. So they're not all kind of bunched together, you know. There we go. So I'll close up with that, let things cook, and bring you back. Alright, so we're reaching the end. And the cook is finished. 20 minutes, I didn't touch a thing. It does tell you to flip halfway through. At the exact halfway point it says flip, but I just let things keep going. So opening up and checking the temp on my wings. And they are just 165, 167. So they just got there in 20 minutes at 400. And I'm going to go ahead and show them to you as they come out. Looks well done on both sides. Looks pretty good. I think they cooked pretty well. So I'm going to let them cool down a little bit and then maybe I'll taste one. But you see the underside and the top side. I think it did a good job. So just gave the wings a little time to cool down. So I'm going to go ahead and taste one. I guess I'll get the big one to just do a bite into it. Okay, it's nice and crisp, so basically the air fryer does its job. So what I have now are 3 boneless, skinless chicken breast halves, and they're fresh, not frozen. And I've got just the grill plate in there alone, and I'm going to grill them up. And what I'm going to do, while I warm it up, I'm going to use some extra light olive oil, some freshly cracked black pepper, and I'm going to use some Hidden Valley Ranch, the dry ranch dressing seasoning, and just going to cover them with that, basically season them up like that. And I'm going to use the meat probe with that as well, so getting the meat probe on out. I've got the meat probe in what seems to be the thickest one now, and turning the cooker on, and going to leave it on grill. Going to leave the grill setting. I'm going to turn it, well, let me turn the temp down to, let's see, I could do high, medium, max. I guess I'll leave it at high. You know, medium's probably going to be too low, so I'll leave it at high. And I'm going to do a preset on my meat probe over to chicken. So I got it at chicken, well done. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and hit start and let things preheat. While things preheat, I'll get the chicken oiled up and seasoned up. Time to add the food. Up. Get these in here. And I will flip them over when it's time to flip, when I get that flip indicator. And I guess it'll tell me, you know, based on temp when to do that. We're going to close one up. Let the cook go on. Alright, time to flip. See how things look. See some nice caramelization there on that side. Good Mylar reaction going on, and get things going over. And we'll just let them finish up on this side. Alright, the cook is done. So there's our finished chicken. No smoke issues at all. I'm just going to independently check with my thermopen. This one is like in the upper 150s. It's almost 150. This one's about the same. And that one there, they're all like near 165 or so. I mean, they're like 160. So I guess we can trust the carryover to, you know, let them go the extra 5 degrees. And but show you the other side here. Nice grill mark. Does a nice job. Like I mentioned earlier, things do stop early for carryover, so it says 170, but apparently things aren't really 170. But when I use like the pressure cooker steam fryer, things do get to the targeted temp, and it shows the correct temp. So maybe, you know, it could have been where my placement of my probe is. You know, it's kind of low. So it could be just that I placed the probe low. That could be what's going on. I'm just going to close up. I'm going to let them rest in there and continue to get some heat. Of course, they won't be reabsorbing juices while sitting in that heat, but it'll help make sure that temp comes up. Alright, so I left them in there for the full 5-minute rest. I'm going to check temps again, see if that heat has helped them come up some. Yeah, things are hotter now. Yeah, all of them are in the 170s now. Much better as far as the temps. So, you know, I guess I could have took them out, relied on that carryover. I'm just not that rely on carryover type of guy like that. It's just not me. So I like to cook things all the way to temp, all the way. So now I'll just let the chicken rest outside the cooker for about 5 minutes, and then, you know, cut into it. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut into one. I guess I'll get the big one in the back to cut open. Slice it right down the middle. And there you go. Looks good inside. Looks juicy and tender. Just going to cut a piece off, and thank God for this, and Just going to do a real quick taste of it. Alright, it turned out good. It is moist and tender. The ranch dressing, the powdered ranch dressing, gives a nice different spin of flavor. It tastes good. So, you know, basically this cooker has been able to do everything that we threw at it. And I want to talk a little bit about cleaning the cooker. And when it comes to cleaning, you basically, all the accessories can go into the dishwasher. They don't say where. All accessories except for the temperature probe. You cannot put the temperature probe into the dishwasher. And any accessories that get anything really stuck on, you can soak them. Also, when it comes to putting anything in a dishwasher, if you do that, they don't tell you which rack. But you want to knock off any excess, you know, try and knock off or rinse off any, you know, additional excess on them before you throw them in the dishwasher. And I recommend that you clean them after every use so that you don't have any buildup that would cause smoke or anything. And personally, I wash everything by hand. It helps with longevity. That's just my personal way of doing things. So let's talk about the warranty. If you buy direct from Ninja, you get like a 90-day satisfaction guarantee where you could send it back on their dime, I believe, if you didn't like it, and get your money back. But wherever you get it from, you do get a 1-year warranty from the manufacturer. With the 1-year warranty, the circumstances are a little different. You'd have to talk to Ninja support if you had an issue and see how they handle things from there. But we see that the cooker does everything that it was designed to do, and it does everything pretty decent. Not too sure about the meat probe. You know, it seems like, you know, since it was supposed to come in at 170, you know, it should have been, the chicken should have been hotter, but it could have been my placement of the probe, could have been my own fault. So not really certain about that. But overall, all the same, things turned out pretty well. And so, you know, can't really complain, you know, much at all there. And so in the video description, you can find lots of ways to help this channel. You can always check out my blog, superwaveovenrecipes.com. And if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification icon, and good eating.